Hello again guys, Matt and I here to give you all the information that you'll need to make a decision whether to buy or avoid Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Our decision will be based upon different categories such as game graphics, gameplay, customization, game modes, additional content, price, and more. But we also want you guys who have played Ghost Recon to give your feedback and experience of the game in the comments below so we can all learn about the game and help those who don't have the game but are thinking of buying it.
So should you guys buy or avoid Ghost Recon Wildlands? The answer is coming up straight after this.
Alright then guys, the first thing you need to know is that you play as a special operations unit known as the Ghosts, and it is your job to tear apart the Santa Blanca cartel in Bolivia using espionage, sabotage, intimidation, interrogation, and assassination.
You must disrupt the four major groups of the cartel, which is security, production, smuggling, and influence. To do this, you must interrupt the various regions of the cartel, first taking out the bookons, then moving on to the underbosses, and then the heads of each group, to finally leave you with the boss of bosses, El Sueño.
Choose to do that, or take out each group separately, starting with one and moving on from each group, and the decision is entirely yours. You choose how to best take down the cartel. Okay then, so the first category that we will break it down into is the most important one, and that is the gameplay. Ghost Recon Wildlands is an open world tactical based shooter and does a great job of immersing you into the role of a special ops team set out on disrupting and tearing apart the Santa Blanca drug cartel.
A worry of mine from the early footage was the shooting didn't feel realistic or responsive. However, after playing through both beta tests and playing the full game, it would seem my initial thoughts were wrong and the game does deliver fun combat. Whilst the shooting is great however, some of the side accessories do seem clunky. For example, throwing grenades is a lot like Tom Clancy's The Division in that you can't throw them very far unless you have a lot of space, and it can feel awkward at times.
Our accessories though offer some great gameplay. The drone that Ghosts use for recon, distracting targets, supporting allies, and even blowing up targets is an excellent addition and feels fun to play, unless you have to scout the same location over and over again.
Elsewhere in combat, the cover system also works well, where players gain a soft cover when near to cover. That, with a good crouch and prone system, gives the players a lot of options for cover against enemy fire.
One of the major letdowns for the game though is the movement system, where at times it can feel highly unresponsive and clunky, also similar to the Division's issues. However, after playing for a couple of hours, you can get used to it and it feels more natural, but as you start the game it can be off-putting, but I wouldn't be too worried about passing up the game on the movement alone.
Driving has been heavily criticised by some, and while it is true it isn't as smooth as games like Grand Theft Auto, it isn't as poor as some make out, although I would avoid bikes if you aren't looking for a headache. The flight via helicopters and planes, as well as skydiving and parachuting though, is very effective and fun to play.
Missions in the game do have the potential to be very repetitive. If you don't vary up your playstyle and get into the mood of the game and the atmosphere of the setting, if you're looking just to run and gun and not look for the best options to attack a mission, this game will leave you bored after the first couple of provinces. The game's strength is in its immersion and choices on how to attack a mission differently and the varied options you have. Often the best and most enjoyable way is using stealth. So if you are into that, then you will love this game. If not, then you won't get as much out of it.
A stress point for this game is, the game does feature co-op mode, where you can play through the exact same missions and story as you would in single player, but with up to 3 friends. And this game is much better if you choose to play cooperatively, and if you have like-minded friends to play with. You've got to take it seriously, plan missions with friends, and talk over comms to choose your targets and engage as a unit. If you're into that sort of thing and like the playstyle, you will enjoy the hell out of this game. However, if you do want to play it solo and still enjoy the tactical approach, you will also gain a lot of enjoyment from the game. However, it must be said that the companion aspect of the game does keep the game very fresh and fun throughout, and it isn't as repetitive playing with friends.
Overall, the missions can be very similar. It has to be said, however, the game does try and vary up different mission styles as you play through different regions. For example, in one region we had to do a lot of interrogation and rescue missions. The next the game focused on espionage. planting bugs and finding intel, and in another we had to use a lot of sabotage.
Okay then guys, that was just an overview of the gameplay, and overall I'd say that the gameplay is a strength for the title. Although it does have some repetitiveness, and the player must enjoy stealth and slow calculated combat to get full enjoyment of this title.
Moving on to graphics, and here are the specs required to play on PC, and a quick warning, in low settings the game does suffer graphically and can feel pretty fake. So you will want to have a PC that can support graphics on the mid to higher end of the spectrum of these recommendations. At Livewire though, we play this title on the PlayStation 4 system, and the game does look good. There can't be any complaints had. It's one of the better looking open world titles available on this platform, that's definitely for sure.
Customization is a big selling point for games like this, and Ghost Recon has a mixed bag when it comes down to the customization. You only have a small sample size of face presets, and not too many options when it comes down to body scars, hairstyles, and facial hairstyles. You can play as a female ghost, but again they don't have a wide variety of options. However, additional options, such as tattoos, are available for your ghost, and there are a good amount of options there. The strength in character customization lies with a good variety of clothing options, and matched with that is the abundance of colour options and camouflage options, where you can match your outfit to the environment that you find yourself in to get good camouflage and feel extra stealthy.
It has to be said though, is where Wildlands is successful with customization is with a major strength where Ghost Recon series has always had, the gunsmith. The gunsmith is where you choose and customize your weapons. You can break down every gun in the game into separate parts and fit each gun with unlocks that edit the gun stats, so add grenade launchers, extra barrel length, silencers, extra ammo capacity, and a muffler. A rail guard. The list is substantial and I could go on forever, so you get the idea. You can also customize each of these segments with its own camo or color, to choose to cover the whole gun with a preset camo or a color to fit your environment. The gunsmith is very cool.
The game has also announced additional content coming in the future, which includes more unlocks, more missions with the Narco Road expansion and the Fallen Ghost expansion. That in itself is really cool, but the long speculated PvP online game mode is also making an appearance. This is where two teams, it seems, will try and collect a piece of intel, but that is likely just one of a few game modes. So the additional content does seem like a big bonus for the game, however it is yet unclear whether or not the game expansion missions will cost or not. Which brings us to our next point.
The cost of the game is an investment, as you will have to be paying AAA title money at around £45 in the UK, so only buy this game if you enjoy the type of gameplay we discussed and feel like you'll stick around for the additional content. Either that or wait a while for the price to drop and play the game for the story, because I believe the game is worth buying for that alone, so I think it's worth waiting for.
The season pass though is a bit on the pricey side, costing £30, where most season passes range from £20 to £25 from Ubisoft. The season pass does provide the additional Ghost starter pack, Oblivion minibus vehicle, the Peruvian connection missions, and early access to the Narco Road and the Fallen Ghost missions, but I just don't see it being worth the price of a full game unless you fall in love with Wildlands. Overall then, would say to buy this game if it is within your price range and you enjoy stealth tactical shooters and don't mind doing similar missions. The overarching story is both interesting and grants great immersion, but again guys, the game is much more satisfying when you're playing with friends.
If you feel like you want the season pass, definitely hold off and play the game first. Okay then guys, remember, don't just take our word for it, look into the comments below and share your knowledge and experience so we can all help each other out and help to fully educate players on what they think is the right option when buying the game. Until next time from Livewire, catch our weekly comment show where we answer your guys' questions here, or join us here for more Ghost Recon Wildlands news and analysis. See ya!